Hey everybody. Hello, welcome, namaste. If you are joining me right now, you are here for a 30-minute lunch break yoga. There's a series of these you'll find bookmarked in the online membership area of my website. And each of them will cover different areas of the body. They'll have different focuses. But this one today is going to be on the low back, a little bit of hips, but truly just as much as that informs and helps out the low back. What will you need to do this? I have a couple blocks. I have a mat. I would recommend it. I don't think you'll do too much slipping and sliding if you don't have one today, but better safe than sorry. A blanket, just in case, especially if you deal with any sort of hand, wrists, or knee sensitivity. It can be really nice as far as support goes. Okay, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy we get this time together. Let's get started. So you'll see I'm already in my seated position, legs crossed. I've got a blankie underneath my bum, but honestly, you're welcome to place extra support under there or not. I'd just like you to find a seated position where the legs can cross to a comfortable extent. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, sit the chest up just a little bit. Hands find a place to rest where they can just comfortably be hands. Relax your jaw, relax your forehead. If closing the eyes sounds like a good idea, you can do so. If you'd rather not, lower the gaze, kind of like you're spacing out. But we'll take a super brief check-in here. As things settle in, as things maybe find a little bit of extra stillness, does it actually feel that way? Especially internally. Does it feel quiet? Does it feel still, soft? Are there any physical sensations in the body that are making themselves most known right now? And then see if you can, without shifting or changing anything, just use your imagination to scan your low back, noting low back, and maybe any sensation you might detect across or around the low back. Just try it. And it might sound kind of silly, and this is all an invitation anyways, but try it. Okay, I'm not there. I don't know who's there with you, but you can do this silently too. I want you to tell your low back right now, the same way that you would look at, I don't know, yourself in the mirror or a loved one. I want you to say, low back, I love you. And not even like I got you or I care about you, but a low back, I love you. And then overall, notice how you feel. Bring your hands like prayer in front of your chest. Allow the face to just kind of tip towards the fingertips. And perhaps set an intention for this practice. Mine, for this practice in particular, is to stay as connected, as aware as possible of my low back. Yes, of everything else happening, but I want to pay particularly close attention to the low back. Let's take a nice deep breath. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. Blink the eyes open. Drop the hands closer to the knees, palms face down. And next time you inhale, sit up a little taller. Draw the shoulders back. Lean back a little and look up. So it's this sort of cat posture we've got going here. When you're ready, perhaps on an exhalation, big arch. Shoulders forward, round out at the back, drop your chin to your chest, and release just a little bit of, I don't know, just a little bit of weight into the flesh of the seat, maybe even the low back. And when you're ready, perhaps on an inhale, sit up super tall, shoulders back, chest puffs forward, look up. And then we're going to turn this into a little flow. I'm going to arch the back. So I'm doing cat-cow in seated. Oh, there's that flexion. Feels nice. I'm going to inhale up. You can kind of quicken the movements here. You can make them smaller. You can exaggerate them. You might hang out in just one and the other for a few breaths each, and that's all you need. You might just sit up tall and go, oh, that's enough. And then just draw the shoulders forward and drop the chin of the chest. Whatever. Find what feels good, what feels right for your body in this moment. And let's maybe take 2 more. And then I'm going to bring them back to neutral. And in this moment, I want to get kind of slouchy. I kind of want to dump things downward. I'm going to bring my hands behind my behind. I'm going to, you're probably facing a different way on your mat than me. So I'm going to pretend like I'm you. I'm going to lengthen my legs out closer to the front of my mat. I'm going to lean back, hands behind the behind, and I'm just going to kind of windshield wiper my feet, eventually pedal my legs a little bit. Now this can be a little slower. This can be a little deeper, bringing these knees all the way down. Remember what I said, how's it feel at the low back? I just feel like, the right amount of release. It might feel a little extra sensitive. Just once more, side to side. And then I'm going to lengthen my left leg out. I'm going to bend deeply into this right leg. I'm going to bring my heel up as close to the groin area as possible. And I'm going to sit up real tall. Now, if we've got some extra stuff here, right, sneak your right foot closer to the right side of the mat. I learned a lot. I always say we're different bodies. We all need different stuff, but having to practice and film myself for almost 9 months straight while I was pregnant, it really taught me something about modifying these poses so that they fit your body. So never feel like, oh, my body can't fit into that, or I can't do that, or what about this, or what about that? There's a way to make the pose work for you, okay? Remember that. So I bring this knee a little bit closer to the outside of my right shoulder, and I'm going to bring my torso in just a little, and I'm going to stretch forward until my body says, that's enough, thank you. Turn the toes up, and I'm pressing through this right foot and just reaching forward. And I've still got quite a bit of rounding in my back, that's okay. But what would happen if maybe you just came hands latched right beyond the knees and you sat up tall? Oh. Few breaths. Careful with the jaw and the neck. And then start to just butterfly that right leg away from you. Scooch this heel in real close to the groin area. Rock against the butt bones here. And now try it this way, but let's grab a little extra length. Reach. So lengthen upward, perhaps even taking your gaze to those thumbs. Lean and find a place to latch. Now this does not need to be at the toes. This can be hands right outside the calf muscles, right? It can be elbows down here. It can be, newsflash, blocks can come outside either side of your knee here. I can plug down through the elbows, sit up really tall, flex into that left ankle, and get quite a bit here. Breathe. Just kind of releasing the head forward. And then I lift the head, I look back beyond the toes or the front of the mat. I spider crawl my fingers up closer to my hips. If there's something in the way, I move it. I'm going to gather this right leg back up, lengthen that leg out to meet the left, and pedal just a little bit, or wiggle. Same deal, other side, okay? As I sit up tall, Right leg stays reaching forward, but I'm going to bend into this left leg. Now I can bring this heel in pretty close to the left butt cheek. You might need to scooch it over, okay? After I've brought it to a place where I'm like, well, I can at least get my chest forward a little, okay? And if you're like, but I can't, bring it over. I'm talking to the outer edge of the left side and maybe lean to the right a little, okay? Sit up tall and I want you to lean. Now you're going to find your stop point. How do you know it's your stop point? Well, one, you better not feel any pinching, right? Or you just feel just enough stretch that you're like, oh, that sensation's new, and you breathe. Turn up those right toes so the ankles flex, that foot is strong, and maybe I reach. Again, maybe I just sit up taller and lean forward. My left foot stays glued to the mat here. Oh, one last big breath here. I'm gonna look up, I'm gonna crawl up and butterfly into this left leg. I pull the sole of that left foot inside this right leg. I turn those right toes up again. I sit up real tall, but this time I reach for the ceiling. Gaze might follow. Lengthen, lean, 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 lean. Find your stop point. Find that point of connection. Now for me, it's the arch of my right foot. Just because this is a little more accessible of a pose for me. There are certain things that this would never happen for my body, but this one, it's okay. But like I said, if this side is just different than the other, or your body's just not into this right now, there's a way for you to make it accessible via blocks, bolster, blanket, strap, whatever. For me, I come here, I sit up a little taller, I feel a real good stretch through the hammy, I feel some opening at the low back, I don't lock my jaw or I loosen it, and I breathe. The more broadening I find at the chest, right, the more opening and the bigger the stretch too. Now again, I just sort of soften, crawl my way back up, but this time I want you to butterfly both legs. So just old school butterfly. Now this might be a real big diamond shape. You might need to slap one of those blocks under the tush, but the way we sort of convert our just regular old butterfly posture, I'm turning to you so you can see me, you can stay put, is we're going to pull the heels in a little closer, maybe, and we're going to find a place to bind. So that latching now, it can be ankles, shins. Some people need to just kind of press into the insides of the knees and look forward. Some of us grab the big toes. Some of us really work on opening up, right? The soles of the feet like a little book, right? And we almost give ourselves like a little foot massage. I'm not kidding, right? And sometimes it feels good. Others of us, right, we're going to grab ankles, we're going to drop the shoulders, we're going to rock against the sits bones, and we are going to sit up tall, and oh my God, it's perfect. You might lean forward. You might grab toes and lean forward to where, oh my goodness, my elbows are touching inside the legs somewhere. You might go, Ashley, I just need a moment, right? I'm going to grab my block, round at the back, and just release the head forward and down to some support. Whatever it is, you're there, you're breathing, and I bet you feel some sort of stretch, right? There's got to be some kind of stretch going on here. If not, right, give yourself permission to readjust. I'd like it if you could maybe locate 3 full breaths. Doesn't really matter where they are, right? In that moment, I would have loved it if it could have been a nice deep diaphragmatic breath, but it was actually kind of trapped at the face, open mouth breathing. Notice where's yours felt most distinctly and follow along for 3 full breaths. Now, if you ever come into this too, and the knees just won't release to gravity, to where it's almost like borderline, this isn't going to work, Ashley, then you can put blocks or a block under one of these legs. It can help immensely. Stay connected to your body. Last breath here. Same way we came out of that little Janu Shasana here a second ago, we want to crawl back to lifted. We want to gather these legs up. Here on purpose, I want you to bring hands behind your behind, and I want you to just windshield wiper here. And then we're going to sweep our feet to either side and take just a little cat-cow. So I'm going to sweep it to the side now. Oh, hey-oh, I got this blanket. Maybe my knees would like this, you know? I don't know. Maybe your wrists would like it. Maybe you don't need any of the above. It's fine, right? I'm going to step forward. I'm going to firstly make sure I've got good support, and then I'm going to make sure, am I in table pose? Now I can, which is really weird, I can see myself on the screen, and usually this is me. It's like I've got no neck. If that's you, shake it out a little bit. Maybe you even kind of yes and no with the head. But then I want to press down through spread fingers, right? Specifically through the pads of my fingers. I want to keep my hips over my knees, but I want to lengthen the head forward or the neck forward. Eyes opened or closed. Take a little cat-cow, right? I'm going to release the abdomen, lift the tail, the chin, the chest. And when I'm ready, I'm going to take a nice arch through the spine, the back, chin to chest. And then I take maybe a handful of these. Just enough to go, okay, this feels like something. Or to just kind of go, I don't really need that much here. Thank you, but just a little bit of lift and a little bit of arching is fine. You can exaggerate these poses. You can really kind of drop the stomach down, reach the tail for the ceiling, firm through the fingers, lift that chin, and just breathe a couple breaths. How's that low back? One more. And then I'm going to come back to this tabletop pose. Okay, I'm going to lengthen my right leg out, toes still connected to the surface beneath me. I'm going to lift that leg kind of like I would do a sunbird or bird dog or balancing table. Okay, I'm going to lift it and I'm just going to kind of draw circles. Right, I'm pretending I'm drawing these circles with my heel. Like there's a magic marker kind of coming out of the heel on my right foot. And then I'm going to bend, arch, and pretend like I want to boot my nose with this right knee. Boop. And then I bring it back like I want table. I step that knee down for a second, but then I flex the right ankle. I press through both hands, lean to the left, and I'm going to fire hydrant that right leg. So you stay put. I'll show you from this side. I've got hands and knees, and I open it up. You just kind of think like, close your eyes maybe and think about a dog, right? Fire hydrant. Then I bring it back down and I kind of sink back a little. I lean forward, sink back, give those hands a little break. Lean forward, meet you back in all fours. Let's try the other side. If I need to, I rock side to side a little, but then I'm going to reach that left leg back, toes tucked. I even feel a little stretch through the hip flexor on the left side. Oh, it's nice. And then I'm going to lift. Now, if you can see, right, my left toes are pointing down. I'm still maintaining lots of length through the spine. And I'm going to draw little circles. Doodly-doot. I guess these are bigger circles, but you know. And you can take them kind of in both directions too. And I guess they can be bigger. I don't really need that big right now, but you take a few. And then I'm going to start to arch the back like cat pose. And I want to just boop, little tiny crunch. And then I release it like I'm done, but I'm not. I got to fire hydrant this left leg. So big flexion in that left ankle, really opening that hip. I'm leaning to the right hand, but I'm still pressing through the left. Now release it down. Take your knees out, nice and wide, big toes touch. Descend your hips for your heels. Make sure you've got sufficient support here. I extend the arms forward, child's pose. Let it go. Now, I always tell my clients, my friends, my fam, if reaching arms forward is a no-go, stack the forearms, right? Use them like a little shelf and place your forehead upon these forearms. You might need a block. Oh, actually, right now, that actually feels good. It's your body. Only you can say what feels good and what doesn't. Use this as a tiny opportunity to sort of check back in, to maybe push the reset button somewhere, like, okay, there's my breath. Oh man, there's my heart. Or, uh-oh, there's my low back. There's my knees, my ankles, my feet, whatever. And one more big breath. Wiggle your fingers. Diddly-doo. Spread them. Maybe find little fists and knock at the surface beneath you a little. So I'm going to move any props out of the way that I might kind of stumble over as I come back to all fours. Here I sway my hips side to side, and then I'm going to draw circles with my hips over my knees. I take maybe 5 bigger circles in one direction, and then I'm going to switch it up and do it in the opposite direction. Just 1 or 2 more wherever you are. And then if it's accessible, before I come down to my back for some nice back stretches, I'm going to come to this supported thunderbolt or kneeling. It's supported for me because this blanket's under my knees. You could have a block under your tush. You might need a blanket underneath the feet and ankles, right? I'm just taking a second here, like, okay, lengthen this up, right? Open this up. How's the low back? Check, check. Okay. Now I'm going to lay on my back. So I'm going to move this out of the way. If you needed a blanket underneath your head, you would place it under your head, right? I'm going to bring my legs forward. Now, things that you maybe might, I don't know, need here. Blocks can be kind of handy, but they're not like I don't think they're a necessity here. Blanket, though, under the head, perhaps, okay? I'm coming down on my back, bent-legged supine here, and I'm actually kind of wiggling and just kind of tapping against the feet. I'm tucking the flesh of the shoulder blades under a little. And then I'm going to take about, 20 seconds to reorient. I release my arms, long, limp, sink at the seat, soften the belly. I've already tucked the flesh of the shoulder blades under. I allow the chest to open a little, and maybe I need to relocate breath. Eyes can be opened or closed. When you're ready, pressing through the feet just a little. Reach your arms overhead like that first morning stretch and hug the knees into the chest. Now, this hugging the knees into the chest could be another thing where you're like, no, that doesn't feel good, or no, that doesn't work for me. Well, you can open it up and go right into happy baby. That's what we're doing in a second anyways. Or you can do one at a time, right? You might just lift them and kind of just use core here and just draw them in for a second. Draw them in, okay? You might want to lengthen the legs up for a second and down. Kind of just finding some fluid movement here in that Apanasana. And then after you brought knees into the chest, right, take yourself one more breath. I'm going to lift my head and bring my face for my knees and then release it down. I scooch my heels up as close to my sits bones as possible. My arms are long at the side body, palms face down. I'm going to take one bridge. I'm going to squeeze my seat, lift the pelvis. I'm keeping the knees drawn in towards each other. And I might even kind of tuck the shoulder blades. And maybe I find that bind underneath clasped hands. Breathing, head heavy, chin kind of tucked in towards my chest. Couple breaths here. Continuing to squeeze the seat or engage the glutes. I'm going to lower down. Take my arms back out at the sides. I stay tucked, stay tucked, stay tucked. There's the flesh of the seat. I release it. Hug just that left leg in. Circle out that right ankle. Any creaking and popping's okay. And then we can do this all kinds of ways, really. You can do this just like happy baby on one side if you want. You can come more like that supine pigeon or thread the needle, where you rest that right ankle upon the left thigh. You can bring, right, your little pigeon pose here, make it a little deeper and draw those legs up closer. You can just lengthen one leg up, right? And you've got that ankle supported, but we're using core. Again, you can keep that left leg lowered and just kind of open that hip up to the side. It's a different stretch, right? but we're still getting into those muscles that are going to affect a nice opening at the low back. Maybe hug that knee into the chest. Let's switch. So I hug it in and I go kind of half a happy baby. I latch this left hand inside the left arch. I pretend like I'm tucking that left knee in towards that left armpit. I keep my left ankle flexed. And I do that for just a second, but I actually want a little bit of figure 4 thread the needle. So if it's available to me, right, I'm going to push that leg away. I'm going to actually thread the needle here and I'm going to draw it in. Oh, so I get the outside of that leg too. And that stretch, right, it travels all the way to the low back. Maybe you lengthen that leg up, right? Maybe draw little circles here. Oh, we didn't draw circles with that left foot. Make sure you do that. Again, none of that might work. You might be like, nope, I'm taking that happy baby on this side. And that'd be cool because now I want you to untangle, uncross, and I want you to open the knees far away from each other and take a full happy baby. So remember, this is basically your supine squat, right? So if I was in Malasana, you don't do this, I'm showing you. I was in Malasana, which is also great for the low back, okay? So you're welcome to pop up and try this, but I'm just kind of showing you. If I was in Malasana and somebody bumped into me and I fell back and I grabbed for my feet, it's like I'm doing the exact same thing, I'm just in supine. So finding maybe a little bit of movement that feels good. You control sort of the intensity of the stretch, right? I'm going to lengthen my legs up for a second and just flex and point. Circle out the ankles. And then I'm going to lower the feet down after I've gotten what I need here. I'm going to butterfly my legs here for, 30 seconds, right? I've got those heels up pretty close, not too close. I don't feel any pinching, but I'm listening to my body and it wants me to retuck those shoulder blades under. I just kind of spend an extra moment with that sensation. I wiggle fingers. I gather those legs up. Either I step the feet apart, maybe even out to the outer edges, and just let these knees kind of collapse in. And I take a really brief Shavasana like this. You're welcome to pause the video and set your space up accordingly. Maybe you want bolster under the legs and a blanket under the head, over the body. You can just lengthen those legs out and just kind of take up some more space. Maybe just a minute or two where you allow everything to just kind of settle back down, settle in. I close my eyes for Shavasana. Right? That helps me turn things inward. I let my hands and my feet just go floppy. I check back in, and on the inside right now, you get a little insight right here. I really would go, hey, back, how you doing? And I would check out that low back, perhaps even offering it just one more I love you. Notice how you feel. And again, you're welcome to stay here. You're welcome to find a little extra stretch. You're welcome to tap back in and maybe laser focus in on the breath. I'm going to bend back into my legs. Let it be sort of a gentle awakening, the shifting gears back into seated. And I don't know, a little over 30 seconds. I windshield wiper the legs side to side. And then you'll release to either side and you'll come into that fetal position. And you'll hang out for a second. Maybe you notice something about the body, about your environment. Maybe you just notice one whole breath. And then you're going to rise on up safely. You're going to find one final seated position. And if you like, you're going to find those prayer hands. Pull them in close. Face can just kind of fall towards those fingers for that slight bow. Always, always, if it's a practice with me, I'm inviting you at the end of every one of them to bow to yourself. So take a moment and just recognize you found 30 minutes to focus on you. It's a big deal. And namaste.